Call the Personnel and Finance Committee, step back a little bit here. Call the Personnel and Finance Committee to order. The first thing on the agenda is the minutes of October 15th. No questions about the minutes. Next on the agenda is reports, personnel and HR.
Good afternoon. Okay, the personnel report. This month, we focused on administrative tasks, recruitment, employee relations, compliance, reporting benefits administration, onboarding, risk management, and workers' compensation. Today, we have a total of 68 employees, we have one new hire, and 2 terminations. We have 2 people that's currently on workers' compensation. And we do have one new resume for the finance director to review.
Is that in
The new resume was sent out with the packet.
That concludes the personnel report.
hire?
Yes. Public safety. That's correct.
Oh. Discuss the finance director job description. It's in the packet. Look at it. And we made the changes that we talked about at the commission meeting.
So we went back to what was originally presented at the last Personnel and Finance Committee meeting. The changes that we made at the meeting went to the City Commission, and the City Commission did not approve those changes and wanted us to start back over. So what you have in front of you is what we started with last month.
What we started with.
Yep, it's what was presented last month before the committee and the public suggested changes that went to the City Commission. So the only change that we made was the requirements for, to include a master's degree or a minimum of 5 years in a municipal setting. And then we added that proficiency in BS&A accounting software is preferred because that's what we use in our finance department.
Commissioner Henry.
Thank
Good
you,
to see
Honorable
you.
Chair. I remember talking about this, and one of the elected officials was having problems with the wording that we were trying to solve, to let them know that they, when they come in, they had full authority and they gonna do everything themselves. And I thought that that would be something good to put in the document, but one of the other elected officials thought that it wasn't. And I know that was recommended by staff, so I want us to really pay attention to what staff asked for, because they're the most learned of what's going on in their department.
Commissioner, any more on that?
You remember that?
You got some more you want to talk about?
So what we discussed last month was that there really is nobody that the finance director oversees. And so those are the changes that we made during the committee. But the commission wanted to keep it so that the finance director is able to supervise, because there are staff members that they should be supervising. And so that's why the city commission did not approve what we had passed on to them, because they still wanted it to be a supervisory
It's in this.
role. It's in this
It's in
one, yeah.
this.
It's in this one that they still oversee, supervise, So there's nothing in here that says that there isn't anybody under them.
Thank you.
More. The city income tax.
For the city income tax, been basically concentrating on business returns that came in. The deadline for people that actually filed for an extension was October the 15th. However, they're still kind of filtering in, as well as late individual returns and processing mail. As a reminder, the city income tax returns are due April the 30th of each year. If you live and/or work within the city limits, you are subjected to the city income tax. I think a lot of people get it confused. Some think that since I live in the city, I do not have to pay city income tax, which that is not the case. And some people think since I don't live in the city but work, I don't have to pay it. So just want to absolutely get that clear, that if you live or work in the city limits of Benton Harbor, you are subjected to the city income taxes. We are still doing compliance work as far as just verifying business operations, issuing invoices for delinquent and outstanding balances. We did draft like a compliance policy that we still need to, I guess, review. And the packages for utility payment center for all new people that actually request for water turn on. So we know for sure that they're in the city, they are receiving a packet, letting them know that they are subjected to the city income taxes. For a comparison from October the 24th to October 2025, for individual returns, we are up 254%. For withholdings, we are up 8%. Total deposits are up 8%. Refunds are down 49%. And the revenue is down 84%. And that concludes.
The new part being down because it's not tax time, and so it'll be.
Yeah, and that's from 1 year to the next. So last October from this October. I believe last month it was up like 147%. So it just really depends on when people actually pay and things of the sort. So it kind of varies.
With the packet, what you mean with?
So when people go to the utility payment center, especially to like ask for new water service lines, that's normally people that's moving into the city or into a new house, things of the sort. They are given a packet basically explaining to them the city income tax, so they will at least be aware of it, that they are subjected to the city income tax. So they can't say they wasn't aware when they moved into the city.
Any questions on the city income tax?
I'll wait until January.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work. You're doing a great job.
Thank you, sir.
Next, we have the financials. Package, you'll see the financials. That the Personnel Finance Committee Chair and Co-Chair and the City Manager had a virtual meetup with Plant Morant, Rhonda, and the State Treasury, just about the cash flow and talk about the improvements in revenue and future revenues that city manager been doing already, cost savings and things like that. And we'll be getting with them in, I think, 3 months. City manager, you want to respond to some of that?
We were simply reviewing what is been occurring that we are, as has been previously announced, taking measures to increase revenues as much as we can and to also try to reduce and cut costs as much as we can. You'll recall that discussion came up when we talked about increasing the rate for refuse collection and also putting in the stamps that they would purchase for extra materials that would not fit in the cans and so forth. So it's an ongoing process that we'll continue with.
Right, so next we have the financials. I got a packet, you can see. The general fund and utility fund cash balances are reported at zero on the chart, even though both funds have a balance. However, the balances are not enough to cover outstanding payables that still need to be paid. Major road cash is very low due to expenses with the water and sewer projects paid for by the road fund for storm sewers and road work that were unallowable expenses for both grants. Tax account cash is high compared to 2024 because of the Brownfield Authority taxes received have not been distributed yet. They were approved and distributed in November. At the end of October, past due utility bills totaling $278,000 were rolled to the winter property tax bills to be mailed out December 1st. Even after the roll, there's 31% or 168,000 of accounts receivable balance still over 60 days past due. And there you have it, the financials for the year, for the month. And you can look at the chart on the first page. You can see that the utility funds compared to last year and the general fund compared to last year. In the major road and street fund, too, you can see the difference from year to year. Commissioner Henry.
Honorable Chair, I just love hearing you read that report, but would you please provide that report to all of us so we want? Oh, okay. Basically, they're saying the same thing that they've said for the last 10 years, that we need to reserve where we spend and bring in more revenue.
Right.
And I hear the city manager saying that he's on that path. But I sure hopefully that we don't keep trying to tax the citizens with that revenue. We need to find other ways to get new revenue in other than our citizens.
That is correct. We can tax the citizens enough, so we want to make sure that we can find proper ways to improve. City manager, right?
Certainly.
Want to talk about Mr. Duncan? Oh, I thought you had seen your hand up. Forgive me. Okay. Look at the financials and go through them, and if you have any questions, you can get in contact with the city manager. And he's been working diligently on cost savings. Commissioner Henry.
I just want to know if something's going wrong with my computer. I give inquiries for the AP list, and I haven't gotten a response in a while. And I'm wondering, is it something that's going on with my computer?
Yeah, because they were sent actually Monday morning, and then the previous commission meeting, they were sent probably about 4 or 4:30.
Would you look into that, Madam Clerk?
Yeah, I can
Because-
re-forward them, and then I can contact you and see if you got them.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Henry. New business, approval of use of previously approved $25,000 opera funding for a Canal Commons project to be redirected to fund appraisals required to solve DNR National Park Service violation, making Ben Harbor eligible for grant funding. City manager.
Sir, in this, I specifically identified the 25,000 that was approved from ARPA funds just for identification of when that action was taken. We have, and hopefully you'll recall that that was done because there were some people who had issues with it and whatnot. But that money was never paid over. With the matter that we're dealing with now, which is the mitigation problem that resulted from the mitigation property being sold by one of the emergency managers to put the dialysis center on it. Since that occurred back around 2014 or 15, we have been ineligible to apply for and receive recreation and park funds from DNR and from National Park Service. We're trying to correct that. We've been working on it for the last couple of years with the help of Marcy and Southwest Michigan Planning Commission, and also with Harbor Shores. We're at a point now where we've identified some properties that we would be able to obtain that we would want to offer to DNR National Park Service to correct the error that was made by that property being sold. In order to do that, it's required that we have appraisals done by their Yellow Book appraisers on the property that the dialysis center is on, to determine what its value would have been at the time the transfer took place. Likewise, they will do an appraisal of the properties that we're considering offering to correct that. And in addition to the initial appraisals, they also require a review appraisal also by people that are on their list of approved appraisals. We estimate that cost is going to be about $25,000, and that would basically, it will come out of the general fund because there's no ARPA money set aside being held, although the same would be the case if Harbor Shores had submitted an invoice requesting the money. We would have had to pay it from the same source. So the idea is, between the two, the city's not paying $50,000, it's paying $25,000. And we just wanted to clarify that as much as possible. But it's a good investment for the city, because once that's cleared up, we become eligible again for grants through a DNR and NPS, as much as $400,000 in a year. And since we've not had a grant from them in almost over 10 years, we would probably be in a pretty good position to receive one if we apply for it, once we clear this matter up.
Like to speak on, say something with this?
I'll just add that we put out a request for quotes, and we did get 5 quotes for the appraisals. And so the amount that's being suggested, the $25,000, is based on the lowest price that we got from those requests for quotes. And I also talked to DNR about the 2 people that had for the appraisals and the review of the appraisal, and asked DNR if they were good people to work with, if they worked with them before, and they said they've done really good jobs in the past for DNR. So even though that they're the lowest cost, they were still high quality from DNR's perspective. So So, yeah, so we have those in hand, so we know how much it is going to cost. And it wouldn't be any more, it'd be up to $25,000, depending on how many of the mitigation properties we'd have to use. If we only have to use one property, then we only have to have that one appraisal done. But if we have to use 2 or 3, then we have to have more appraisals done than the cost. But we should be able to get it all done under $25,000.
Sounds like a good plan. It's open the door for the city too, to get those grants.
Absolutely. It's taken 10 years to get to this point. It could take longer than that if we don't get it solved now.
So ever since the dialysis center was put there, that stopped DNR grants. Oh, Commissioner Henry, I didn't see you there. I didn't know that was you.
Well, I'm glad you recognized me, Honorable Chair. My question is about the ARPA money. I know there's so many regulations on that money, and I probably lost track of it now over the years. We spent our last $25,000 on that last project down at the plaza. That was approved by the commission. And what do we do to reverse that?
You never paid it. So you approved it, but it was never paid out.
And so this actually.
Well, I
is
understand
reversing.
that, but it was approved, so it's got to be something to say it's not approved anymore.
Well, that's what this is doing. It's saying that it's using that same authority, just transferring it to a different purpose.
And is that purpose acceptable under ARPA's regulations?
It is.
Could you send me that, please?
More correctly, let me say it the way it actually is. It's that the ARPA monies were all used for approved purposes, and that grant closed out. We're just simply saying that this is that same amount of money that was approved for that purpose, and it wasn't spent for that. We're asking to spend it for this. It, as I said earlier, it will be general fund money that you're paying this $25,000 with, not ARPA money. The ARPA money has already been spoken for.
You
To
speaking,
to further clarify, if Harbor Shores were to send an invoice for the $25,000 that we committed to from ARPA funds that hasn't been spent yet, we would pull it from the same source and have to pay it.
we would pull it from the general fund and then have ARPA pay the general fund?
ARPA has already paid what would have been in the general fund.
I'm sorry, say that again, sir?
The ARPA program has been closed out.
Where did that
So-
$25,000 go?
For other
The last
approved-
$25,000
I'm
we had
saying,
in our
for other
account.
approved ARPA purposes. Met the regulations.
Well, through the chair, please ask our attorney to please look into this. I don't want us to do, that don't sound quite right in my brain, but I'm not the brightest one in the room. So would you ask our attorney to look into that?
Yeah.
Money just don't
Yep,
do that. I mean, so please check into it,
Okay.
so we can know that we on the right track. Some just don't sound right with that.
City manager, did you contact, Chris Cook? He's all for approving this?
Yes, we did. And he said they
I
would
said
give it
our
in the
attorney,
week.
I ain't said nothing about
But
no Chris
I
Cook.
will also contact the attorney.
Chair, I'd like to ask the question. This has been a problem for a long time. Why now is our good friends, Harbor Shores, Cornerstone, and the Drain Commission, why now? Why are they helping us Benton Harbor out now? These properties have been in their possession for years. Why is it now? Through the
Because-
chair to-
City manager?
because we requested the assistance, and they responded to us.
You mean we just asked? My,
Within,
thank you, sir, for
within the last
asking.
couple of years since I've been on this.
Thank you for asking then, thank you. Because these properties are, I mean, that's a shame that we're not been able to get those grants all these years. Now, can you tell me the reason why we're doing the appraisal on the, facility there from the time that we bought it? I mean, from the time they bought it, the value of the land?
Because the land would have appreciated significantly since that time. And in that appreciation, we could wind up coming out on a shorter end, I believe, than if we did it as of the time it took place. Because I'm sure all of us are aware that even these vacant lots that typically was selling for $300 and $500 3 or 4 years ago are now going up for $7,000, $8,000, and $10,000. So I think it was to our advantage to do these appraisals as of the time that took place. They'll be doing the same thing on the properties that we're looking at trading for it.
You mean they will be reevaluated as of today's, value?
As of the time, their value at the time that that site was converted.
As time is, the mitigated property was converted, what,
Yes.
and why is that? Because these properties were
so-
not involved in any of that process, or,
So that you're trading apples for apples. You're doing it at the same time. Otherwise, you could get a disparity either on our end or on their end, and to do it evenly, they want it to be done as of the same time period.
okay. And what is those three entities, is there a monetary value, or they're just helping us out with the property? Is there gonna be any connection? Do we have to jump through a hoop? What do we have to do? What's happening with it?
At the time that the decision is made as to whether it's acceptable to DNR and the Park Service, the properties will be made available to us, and there's not a cost expected to be incurred.
Would that be some like recording costs, just general things like that, but not like paying for the property? They've agreed to give it to the city basically for this purpose.
Okay, so all the property is gonna be evaluated from that time period on?
That's correct.
All of them?
That's correct.
What about the projects that are going to be around in that area? What's planned for it? I see over the years a lot of projects were brought from that area, but nothing has been really done except maybe cleaning the river a little bit. So what about what's going to happen in the future in those areas? And we're making it mitigated property, which is not taxable, and if it's nothing being done to it to make it accessible to the residents, I need to kind of look past my nose on this project as to what's going to happen in the future.
Let me suggest that you look at it like this. The property that the dialysis center is on, other than to go there for service, there's nothing that citizens can do with that property right now. The properties that we are evaluating to use to settle the conversion issue is basically undeveloped property right now that belongs to other people. Once it comes into our possession, we can do whatever, as long as it's a park-like public purpose whatever we want to. It may very well be that one of the grants that we apply for may produce the money for us to improve it for public purposes.
Thank you. Yeah, okay. I can see where the connectivity from each one of those properties would enhance our parks and our recreation. Maybe that'll be the first grant we get. All right, thank you for answering my question, Honorable Chair.
Hey, that's good. That's good.
I'll bite you later.
Well, thank you, Marcy, for your help on this, and we'll move that forward to the full body. Any citizen comments?
Honorable Chair, I hate to bring up the same subject that I've been bringing up for the last 2 years, but we have a budget. You said you were going to make sure that we discuss the amendment. I see there's a lot of amendments they put them in, but that's not the same as when they put it in here, is that we look at it and approve it. It's with our authority to do it. The charter says we should do it, and it hasn't happened. And I'm going to ask you again, as chair of Personnel and Finance, to do what you said you were going to do, no matter what they say. They work for us, and the people want to see where their money is going and how it's going. So please.
City manager, will you, the amendments for the 2024 budget, correct?
24,
25 budget for Commissioner Henry.
Not for you, because
for
you're the
me.
chair. I'm just a.
But so you're not getting what's in the back. You don't understand what.
That's not the process. That's not the process for us to get this kind of information. We have to have something public, and we have to have something that we approve. So far, we have not approved anything but a budget, and that was at the last minute, a week before the deadline,
Yeah. Okay.
and then we haven't touched it since. And you told me in 2 different times that we were going to do it. He told me one time that we were going to do it. And so far, nothing has happened.
Manager.
If I might, it's because it really has not been necessary yet. And what I mean by that, the reports you were given tonight are through October 31st. That's 4 months of your 12-month budget year. And if you just look at the first page, it's page 6, where you start to go down the columns with year-to-date balance, amended budget, year-to-date balance, original budget, available balance. If you look at that next to the last column at the right, it shows you the available balances per what was budgeted in each of these different categories. And as you go down the listing, you will notice relatively few of them that are either negative balances or anything at that month of that nature, because you're not far enough in the fiscal year yet for there to be any significant problems or issues. Where we are, and that was one of the things that we talked about with our Finance Committee Chairman last night, where we find ourselves perhaps going over in some categories is, for instance, the consent decree that we entered into with Eagle for the water plant. The next part of that consent decree involved the, what do they call it, the survey that they came in and went through, and as a consequence, categorized a number of things that they wanted done right away. Some that had to be finished by 9:30, some that had to be finished by 12:30. For instance, the plant operates with an alum pump that pumps the chemical into the water. We're supposed to have a backup pump, and we didn't. They required that we buy a backup pump right away. Now, that backup pump specifically was not budgeted, but nevertheless, we were required to go ahead and buy it. Likewise, several other things like that where we didn't have a spare and they required one, we acquired them. Now, as we go further on in this budget, and this type of thing and other things occur, unexpected costs that may arise that we have to pick up, those figures in that column will start to change and in some instances begin to get out of whack. And as that occurs, that's the point where we would need to look at coming in and modifying the budget to rebalance and put everything together. But other than that, and in fact, if those things were not occurring, you wouldn't really have a need until near the end, the 11th month of the 12-month period, so that you would see where you were over and under, and you just simply balance it and end your budget year. To month run right here of exactly what's going on with your budget. Nothing you could do with an amended budget would improve or change any of this.
I totally agree with him, except if we want to change the budget. And that means we need to put our hands on it, pay attention to what's in the budget, because we haven't seen it since 1 week before it was due. I didn't get a chance to really tear it up like I wanted to, because it was due to be voted on soon. So I'm asking you, Chair, to give us an opportunity to look at our money and to see if it's being spent where we want it to be spent. Now, you can tell me that we're not in the first quarter, when going into the second quarter now. That's a half a year to me. So, by charter, we should touch our budget, his budget that he gives to us. Now it's our budget. Because he gave it to us when we approved it. And I want to go back and look at it again.
Well, look at it. So you seen the budget.
I don't mean me, I mean the body,
Yes.
the council.
Yes.
I want us to look at it again. And it's only right for us to follow the money. Did you hear your comrade say the other night, follow the money? He meant that. Follow the money. Let's do it, Honorable Chair. All you have to do is to make sure that it's done. All you have to do is to make sure it's done, because all you have to do is ask, and it's done. The amended budget. I want to look at the budget so we can amend it if we want to. I want to look
I don't
at the
understand. City
budget.
manager, we explain.
Yes,
I heard what he
will.
said, but it didn't have nothing to do with changing the budget and looking at the budget and amending.
But Madam Commissioner, what you're saying, I think I understand.
I know you.
And I think that your understanding is not quite accurate in terms of how this works. You're correct, the city manager prepared the manager's budget and presented it, and you approved it. If we were submitting a modification, it would follow the same process. The city manager would make the suggested amendments and present it to you again for approval or disapproval. As a commissioner, you can't change the budget yourself or do whatever. You either approve or you disapprove the budget that's presented.
The charter says we should look at the budget. I don't care what anybody says the charter is what runs this city, and it tells us what we could do and what we shouldn't do, and the budget is something to look at. I cannot change it, but the council can do anything that it needs to do to make things right. So I'm asking you for the second year in a row
Let's look at the budget.
to look at the budget before, now, we had an amended budget in 24-25, but when did that come? June. The last of June, we amended our budget and immediately approved this one. Now, 6 months later, we haven't touched it. Does that seem a little strange to you? Do that seem a little strange to you? Would you do your budget in the household like that? If your wife just said, no, we ain't gonna look at it, we just go, that wouldn't work.
We look at the budget every personnel finance meeting.
No, we don't.
City manager.
This is not the budget. This is just a record of what's happening in the budget. The budget is what we approved. How many times you seen it since you approved it? How many times did you see the budget since you approved it? No, you know you haven't looked at it.
Madam Commissioner, what he's saying is if you look at that third column on each of these pages in here, it says original budget. That is the budget that you approved.
I got it. Numbers. I want to see what's attached to them numbers. I want to see what the budget really did say. But I want
Directly
us all
across
to work
from
on
it.
it together. I don't know why it's such a hard time to get transparency and inclusion. Let me see, what's the other word I want to use? I'm looking for transparency and I'm looking for inclusion. And it's got to come from you, Chair. So you saying that we cannot look at the budget again and make any kind of changes or improvements or concerns about it?
Personnel finance meeting next month. We'll look at the budget. How's that? We'll look at the budget.
I appreciate you telling me that, but if it ain't right, I'm gonna tell you, you did it again to me. No, these are just numbers. I wanna see the budget. I wanna see what the budget said.
On line
So
items. or what-
if it's $300,000 in a fund, I wanna know what that $300,000 is for.
That's what the first column on the left does. And every one of them goes down, fringe benefits, general administration, salaries and wages, professional services, salaries and wages, fringe benefits, supplies and materials, professional services, other expenditures, capital. That's what those are. Line by line, what each one of those is for. If you look at on page 10, under Major Street Fund, and then get down to total revenues, and then it says salary and wages. You go all the way across. Year-to-date balance shows $12,368.56. Amended budget, $35,442. Year-to-date balance, $14,000. Original budget, $33,000.
Madam, I got you, Mr. Little. You could do this forever and go around and we'll come back right to the same thing. Do I get
Personnel-
what I asked for?
next personnel finance
Thank you
meeting.
very much. That's all I need. We'll work on it.
Any citizen comments? Mr. Duncan?
I know you guys don't want to hear Mr. Duncan, but
No, I like to hear you.
want to have my say. And this really to thank the city manager for helping get Broadway and Bay Street taken care of, like the old house was. I thank him for that. Now we can see a little better. We can see progress being made. Now, I got one thing to say about this nice piece of property. You got cut nice and everything. Now it's turning into a dump. I got a trash can full of stuff. And I know you guys had to have seen it. Corner of May and Empire, May and Union. The old house what was there. I don't know. I hate to say it was the apartment across the street, but the whole street was papered out, bottled out, broke bottles. I ain't talking about just throwing the bottles over on the grass or something. Maybe you can look at that. I picked it all up. I got a trash can full of it, and the rest of it, I ain't gonna tell you that's a secret. But we just have to keep our eye on what we have, and when we do things, I mean, you went out of your way some kind of way to get that done, and I know it was quite a bit of cutting and all of that too, not just grass. So if if we're about the citizens and about the community, when you see somebody cutting the grass, I mean, raking it, like today, and I love my trash people, they usually pick up my stuff, but now they've turned it where these same guys are not there. I couldn't get rid of a trash can today because I'd have threw it away. But all I'm looking for is some assistance. And I don't mean just because you got to either. I'm, you either. I need you to help me take care of the area. Broadway,
And
A and Union. Where the old house was burned down and it sat there for 20 years or something, burned down, looking like that. It's an eyesore. Excuse me. I gave you your space. I want to see the city manager, and you is in my way.
And
All I'm looking for
I understand.
total assistance.
I
I ain't
understand.
asking for a little bit,
Yeah.
and I'm not asking. I'm not asking you for anything. So I
Well,
appreciate you though.
what Mr. Duncan is saying, and I join in with him because the city is in the same position, and that is, it's totally unfair that all over our city, where we try to clean up and cut grass and whatever, and some good people like Mr. Duncan go out and picks up and tries to keep it nice. Others come right along behind him and dump stuff on it and throw stuff. And the only thing that we can do about it is to try to
No, that
hopefully.
word "try" ain't working though.
Well,
We
I
gotta take
understand.
care of this.
I
It's
understand.
it's a.
But we
Would you
could.
want that outside your door?
Of course not, of course not.
Would you?
And we could spend the entire budget trying to go around every day doing it, and you still not be successful until more people like you start helping identify who's doing that and help us keep it picked up.
Well, the way that corner, I found it. Well, I ain't just find it today, but I started it today. It's a done deal right now. But if we can't do this everywhere in the city, then I mean, what do we have? What do we even have a commission for? What do we have? What do we have a city manager for if we can't get things like that taken care of?
You can only take care of what you can afford to pay for.
We got so many other ways to do so many other things. And I didn't get a chance to really start asking questions about the litter, uh, litigated property and stuff for the, for the, for the center. But I'll see you guys next Wednesday.
I just want to say to Mr. Duncan and any other residents of Benton Harbor that the only thing that's gonna get us together is us. We're going to work together, create block clubs, we could create whatever it is that we need for us to come together. And, the cleanup does well, but it don't do well if you don't have people to maintain it. So that's gonna come from the mindset of Benton Harbor residents, and it might be that the mindset of Benton Township people that ride through here and drop their trash, but, we definitely need to come as people, so we're gonna work on the block clubs, and if you get an invitation for a block club, please join.
And if I could just share some information related to what we're talking about. You all may recall that I mentioned in the last 2 months that people from Eagle came and cited the problem behind Public Works. We had to clean it up. That stuff that we had to clean up had been accumulating back there since probably before your first emergency manager. And it continued the whole time they were here, and it just continued to build up. Every time you called for somebody to clean up the alley or clean up a lot, that's where it went, was back there. We just spent $34,000 that was not in the budget. But Eagle cited us and gave us a time period that we had to get it done by. And that's one of those kinds of things that, as I said, when we get down to a certain point where enough of that has occurred, we would come in and make amendments to lessen what's available in some other area to cover what's been done in those areas. But the real problem is just what you said. Nothing can solve this but us. As long as we have people, as soon as you cut a lot, they're dumping on it. Some people running around trying to identify which lots they think are city lots so they can dump it on there and complain the city's not cleaning up its lots. But all it is about, and the same thing with the alleys. 18 months ago, I rode up and down just about every alley in the city with Jason Marquardt, looking at what the condition was when we had spread that black, material in those alleys to make them clean. All of them are passable. All of them are in good shape. No sooner we got out of them, in the next few weeks, you started seeing places where people are pulling in there at night, dumping right in the alley. Many of these people are getting paid by people to clean out the basements or whatever and to take that stuff to the dump. But instead of taking it to the dump, they're dumping it in the alleys and dumping it on lots and keeping the money. And then people like Mr. Duncan and others who, like him, care about the city are doing their best to try to take care of it. And we're doing all we can afford to do to try to do it.
Thanks for all you're doing.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
I'm gonna make sure that we don't have to look at that, because I know you come that way a lot, and I know you've seen it, and you saw that building, you saw that house when it was like that for, how long was that, about 20 years or something?
Long. Well, not longer than that.
Yeah.
I've been here past 40 years.
I imagine Mr. Duncan out there taking care of that
Thank you, Mr. Duncan.
for free.
Thank you, Mr. Duncan.
I wanna see you keep that conversation going for the citizens, for the other places.
Together, we can do anything. Unity, today is MLK Unity Day. So
It should be Unity Day every year.
that's right. So we need to come together, right, Commissioner Henry? Thank you, Commissioner Henry. Thank you for everybody, your comments, City Manager and Representative